Let's just see how it goes, hey? Yo, what is good? Ooh, let's get it closer to my mouth. People do complain about how loud I am sometimes. That'll do. Yo, what is good, YouTube? Today we are back with another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my first ever team report. Now, this report is going to be based on a team that I used over the weekend in the Wide League Saturday Night Rumble. This is a team I built with the homie Winner Knight. He will be joining us for the team review. Yo, what is good, Yo, what is good, YouTube? Today we are back with another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video, and in today's video we're going to be doing our first ever team report. Now, this report will be based on a team that I used over the weekend in the Saturday Night Rumble, the Wide League Saturday Night Rumble, I should probably specify. It's a team I built with the homie Winner Knight, who will be joining us for this team report. As I said, we built this team together. Now, this team did perform really well. As you can see in front of you, we do have the team. We will go in depth, obviously, in a second. But I managed to go 7-0 in Swiss, basically finishing first amongst the Swiss rounds. Winner Knight ended up going 6-1. I believe he finished 4th. I'll have the bracket up on the screen so you can obviously see that. And since the team did perform so well over the weekend, we thought it'd be cool to get together and do a team report, basically just talking about everything that went into building this team. So if you guys could, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And make sure you check out the homie Winner Knight as well. I will link all his stuff down below. But yeah, anyway, let's jump into it.
All right, so here's the team. Starting off, we knew we wanted to build around Iron Moth and FlutterMoth. So we picked Iron Moth first, wanted to make sure that it was outspeeding the FlutterMoth, so we went with the max speed timid here. Of course, you have to put, was it 132 in special attack, so you get the booster in speed.
Yeah, and I think a very important thing as well with this spread is, like, obviously you want the speed boost and you want as much damage as possible. So you can't really run anything less than Timid 252, because the second you start dropping that speed, you're also dropping your damage output. And this mon, like, it hits really hard. So obviously I think having a lot of damage paired with like the acid spray is really good as well. Because even if FlutterMane's not there, you can still set yourself up with like an acid spray into something like a heat wave.
Right, exactly, yeah. And even when Flutter's in the back, it's still good. You can set up, especially against like Iron Hands and stuff, get a couple acid sprays on it. That way it for sure is going down when Flutter comes in. Well, or yeah, Gastro even.
Yeah, especially too with the Iron Hands matchup as well. I don't believe any Iron Hands actually lives the acid spray into either Dazzle and Gleam. I know it definitely doesn't live Moonblast unless it terrors. So that's another really important thing too with this combo, is it really does shut down Iron Hands. And we have the Terra Ghost on it as well, so we can't be faked out. That's another big thing. So basically our turn 1 is just really, really strong into Iron Hands. It really can't do anything besides Terra, and then even then it still takes a lot of damage.
Another big one for me is Arcanon. If they lead Arcanon into it thinking we can't do a lot to it, you just hit it with the acid spray and then Shadow Ball, and that's... Yeah. I don't know if it's guaranteed, but it's almost.
Yeah, I believe it is guaranteed, especially because it's coming off a Specs FlutterMane. I'll show our spread here for the FlutterMane as well. We were timid near max. Basically, the 28 HP was so we always survived a Garchomp's Earthquake. But then other than that, it's just as much damage as possible. This is a mon where you could almost not run max speed depending on how you, like, I guess, play into the mirror. Because, like, that's a really big thing with FlutterMane, is, like, the only thing really killing you turn 1 is, like, other FlutterManes, at least on, like, really aggro teams, right? There are obviously, like, bulkier, slower mons with, like, Iron Head and whatnot that can mess you up. But the only real fast one dealing with you is, like, opposing FlutterManes.
Yeah, I think making sure you outspeed Golden Go is really the main thing you would want to worry about.
Exactly. And I guess too quickly, just touching on the Arcanine matchup, that was another, like, I guess reason I did love this combo, is just because some of our other mods do struggle into Arcanine. Like, obviously we have the Roaring Moon and we have the Iron Hands, which, like, neither one appreciate the Intimidate, and then neither one appreciate the Will-O-Wisp.
Willow.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess we'll touch on, so why did we have Fairy FlutterMane, I guess?
I think just wanted to maximize damage since we were going choice specs. That way we drop the ghost weakness, so yeah, possibly survive.
So I guess, yeah, the main reasons I liked it was, one, there are a lot of dark type moves that can actually one-shot you if you don't Terror. Obviously, I think for those who don't know, Roaring Moon, I believe, like, always one-shots with a Throat Chop if you don't Terror. Even though it's just like a neutral move. Same thing with, I believe, Life Orb Sucker Punch as well from, like, King Gambit will one-shot you. So having Fairy Terror, obviously, I think is just a better defensive type at the moment. I also ran into a couple Mimikyus yesterday with Shadow Sneak that also one-shot you if you don't Terror. So I think the Fairy Terror defensively was definitely the better of the two. And then Terra Fairy with just Choice Specs, Dazzling Gleam is just insane damage. Especially like if you get that the Acid Spray off, like resist until still taking like 60-70% from it.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Exactly, and that way we're just not second Ghost Terras.
Yeah. And then I guess we'll move on to the next two. So this core was kind of rounded out with Gastrodon and Roaring Moon. I'll touch on Roaring Moon first, just because I think it's a bit simpler. This mon was basically our check to other Flutter mains with its Terra Steel, plus it was also our Tailwind setter. You can also see here we have Clear Amulet as well, just to help us out with those Arcanines, as they are quite annoying. But yeah, this mon's job was essentially to set up Tailwind, and it didn't come as much as some of the others. I think it was probably the mon I brought probably the 5th most out of all the mons on this team. But the games it does come to, it's really good. It fills its role. The Throat Chop just does insane damage. Even if it's like a neutral hit, like it still just does a lot of damage.
Yeah, and so good into Sylveon. I did see more Sylveons this week than before, so it's nice to just be able to shut it down.
Yeah, and I think a big thing too is like, even if they have the Moonblast, right? Like in front of a Sylveon, I'm always clicking my my Terra Steel anyway, but just to be able to Throat Chop them and stop the Hyper Voices, because it really slows down the damage output. Because even if, like, obviously it has a Terra Blast, which is still really strong, right? Like you can click Terra Blast and still, you know, do a lot of damage to a lot of our mons, but the fact that it can't Hyper Voice and hit both of our mons for a lot of damage, I think was really important, especially in like 2 of my matchups I had yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And it very consistent on getting up the Tailwind, for me at least.
Yeah, I definitely think it's one of the premier Tailwind setters at the moment. And yet there isn't really much, I guess, to say about the spread. It was just max speed Jolly just because we wanted as much speed and damage as possible. I forget exactly what this bulk was for. I think it allowed us to live something. I forget exactly what it's for. Do you remember? I know. Looking at it, it's just to make it even. Sorry, it's just something I like to do with my spreads. 94 times 2 is 188, and then I basically just split it from there. I put 1 point in speed def and the rest in attack. So that'll be
Clear Amulet was really good though.
Yeah,
like booster is good, but not having to worry about Arcanine.
The one big thing
really
actually
good
as well I didn't mention with the Clear Amulet is actually Iron Bundle's Icy Wind. That's another huge one as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it allows you to set up the Tailwind, have your ally like chip it, and then you threaten the one shot with Iron Head or Throat Chop. So that was actually another really big thing as well. It really helped into the Iron Bundles matchup. As long as you were able to like break its sash or chip it, like Roaring Moon for the most part could actually just take it out from there. And then I guess Gastro, the last one of our core. Do you want to take it away? Take it away.
So the main reason I really wanted to play Gastro last week when I played Wide League, Garganackle was just huge. So Gastro with the Covert Cloak is just really, really good into it. So that's one of the main reasons. Plus, it just shuts down Iron Bundle, especially with the Fire Terra.
Yeah, like I had a lot of matchups yesterday in particular where it was my Gastro like +1. A lot of the times it was like either hands or Flutter or something. And it's kind of funny. You just see this mon sit there, and there was literally one win I had where it was it might have been a 3v3 at that point, and it was like my team was like Gastro, I think it was Gastro, Hands, and Moth at this particular point, and I had the Terra Fire, and I'm just like, I don't care like what this Iron Bundles does now. I can literally just ignore it, and I literally left it there for like 4 turns in a row. It was just because like, what's it gonna do, right? It had to click Freeze Dry, and what's that doing to an Iron Moth which resisted and is very bulky on the special side? Again, Gastro who resists it, and then Iron Hands who was taking like 30% to it. It was like it was gonna take 4 turns to like aim down my Iron Hands while my Gastro just like destroyed everything else. And then obviously too, another big thing was we were running max special attack here. If you ever got the +1 boost from Storm Drain, like this thing just starts one-shotting things. Like it's actually insane damage. I think a lot of people slept on how much damage this was actually going to do.
Yeah, because it was doing huge damage to Iron Hands. I got the boost. I played rain matchup twice, and they gave me the Storm Drain boost twice, and their Iron Hands did not stand a chance after that.
Yeah, I guess as well, we'll touch on the Terra Fire. That's something that I think a lot of people have probably seen picking up in usage lately. And that is basically just, again, for the iron bundles. It's so you resist the freeze dry. And then it's also really good into... I guess the Terra Fire itself isn't that great into Garg. Because, like, as you said before, that is one of the main reasons we put this one on the team. Because obviously ground coverage is really good into Garg at the moment, just because most of them want to Terra Poison, which obviously Poison and Rock are both still weak to ground. But yeah, I think going Terra Fire like really helps with matchups where we needed to Terra. Like I don't really know many other times where we didn't want to, I guess, Terra Fire if our normal typing was bad. Right,
and with the Recover and the Covert Cloak, even if Garg isn't poison, there's not a whole lot they could do, because not many people are running Iron Defense Body Press anymore, so they're just trying to Salt Cure. So unless they can get the knockoff and knock off the cloak, then you could usually just recover off the damage.
Yeah, ooh, I think that actually might have been what the defensive stats on this were for, because I'm pretty sure we would still take 3 Salt Cures even if we were Terra'd. That might have been what I calc for, just because I forget exactly what this HP defense does.
I want to say that was it.
Yeah, because like I remember yesterday in particular, I only took about 30% to a Salt Cure while I was Terrafire. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense if that was what that was for, I guess. Obviously we built the team about a week ago, so I forget exactly what my spreads do sometimes. I really need to write them down, but yeah, Gastro honestly was like the MVP for me yesterday. In games where the FlutterMoth weren't just able to sweep, the Gastrodon really just carried.
Yeah, same. It was the FlutterMoth and Gastro were definitely the main brings to almost every match.
Oh yeah, it's funny you say that, because I will transition into the next one. So I think I want to say it was 7 of my 9 games, I brought those 3 paired up with Iron Hands. This is another one right now. I think I think the mod's broken. I definitely think it's the best Paradox Pokemon. I think it's also just the most flexible, right, of all of them.
Exactly. Yeah, it fits on the most team comps for sure.
But I mean, just to obviously, I guess, a quick overview of what this thing does. Obviously, we've got the dual stab in Drain Punch, Wild Charge. The main reason we use Drain Punch is just survivability, right? This mon's got so much HP, it's so bulky. I think just the ability to stay alive as long as you can is obviously really important. Especially with its attack stat. You look at this, 140 base attack. It's absurd. That EV spread, by the way, just goes to the bump. That's why it's 236 and not 252. Then on top of that, we have Wild Charge. I think Wild Charge is just more reliable than Thunder Punch, because I don't think Thunder Punch picks up all Flutter mains, where Wild Charge basically does.
Right.
And then we have Stomping Tantrum and Ground Terror. This is basically for the mirror. It's really, really good into the mirror. And then it also really helps, as we said before, with Garg. Garg's a massive threat. Another big issue as well with this mon is Arcanine. So if you're ever in a situation where you are able to get the Stomping Tantrum off, even if you're burnt, you're still doing a good, 30% chip damage without Terror. And if you are Terrored, you're doing 40-45% to an Arcanine, which is obviously really important, especially if you're burnt and -1. And then Fake Out's just great support. I mean, Fake Out's it's just a fantastic move. It's fantastic. And then I guess Assault Vest is just because this thing's special defense is kind of bad. So obviously it's really bulky everywhere else. So yeah, just AV helps increase that special defense.
Yeah, because with AV, it's not getting one shot. I mean, unless they have, Gastro with the Storm Drain or something like that. But I think with this spread, most likely you'd be able to take that.
Yeah, I don't think you actually die to any Gastro. The only thing I think that actually has the ability to threaten a one-shot on this is a Specs Flutter main with Acid Spray. I know that would definitely pick up the KO, at least on our spread. But yeah, I don't actually think a Specs Moonblast would even kill this thing. I'd have to, run the calcs, but this thing is so bulky. It's actually insane.
Yeah, it was definitely a bring in a lot of my matches. Back to the Drain Punch. CC is so good; it hits so hard that you could make an argument for that, but the
Definitely.
defense and special defense drops, you just don't want to open it up to taking that much additional damage, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also pretty sure our Drain Punch, I think, also just still picks up the one shot on the iron bundles anyway. So like, there's a lot of times where, like, as you said, close combat's insane, right? It's like, what is it, 45 more base damage, which is like, it's insane that it's almost like, it's roughly is like a 50% increase, I think, somewhere around there in damage, which is like kind of crazy. But yeah, like I think Drain Punch still picks up a lot of the KOs you need to pick up, which I think is really important with it.
And the healing is just really nice.
Oh yeah, like, and another one we kind of, you know, didn't touch on with this is Roaring Moon. You'll always one shot a Roaring Moon, and most terrors that a Roaring Moon want to do are weak to either of this mon's dual stabs. And if you ever are able to like catch a Roaring Moon on a Drain Punch, you're just healing everything back and you're one-shotting it. So
Exactly.
yeah. And then Wild Charge is really good into the most popular Roaring Moon terror, which is flying at the minute as well. So I do love that. But then I guess we got the last one on the team here, the Farigiraf. We do have a pretty unique spread. I know one of my friends was actually telling me yesterday that he thinks we're crazy for this spread. Obviously, we're running a lot of special attack on it. But my question is, do you remember what our spreads do exactly? Because I have a pretty good idea of what it does.
I think one of the main things that we calced for was expanding force. We want to make sure that we were able to live, what was it, at two of those?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we comfortably eat, no, not comfortably. I think, I don't know if we exactly live two of them or if it's like a slight roll. Or if the roll's in our favor, I should say, to live two. But that was definitely one of the things our defense does. 180 HP as well is just so we can survive the Annihilate as well. That's another really important one. Final Gambit. So if he Final Gambits us, we live on 1 HP. So that was like really important too, because like I think obviously a lot of Trick Room teams at the moment, like I think Farigiraf is like the best Trick Room setter, or at least like up there as one of the best. And the main thing with it is like you can't click fake out on it. So like the only way to, I guess, either one, stop it from setting up Trick Room, or two, stop it from stopping your Trick Room is something like the Scar Final Gambit. So that's why 180 investment in the HP was really important. And then I guess as you can... Sorry, you go on.
I was gonna say I did really like the special attack investment. That's something you could make an argument for with the throat spray. You could drop it down a little bit, but I did have a bunch of matches where it came in handy. I think...
Do you remember what it was calced for?
Can't remember exactly. I know I played a couple bundles where it did 90% without the boost.
The first rate. So this was actually so this spread will always kill an Amoongus. That was the thing. So I believe what we calced for was, I think it was careful 164 per def max HP. So basically Hyper Voice into Psychic will always pick up the Amoongus.
Right.
So that is what I calced for. But as you said, I think you can argue that you don't need to run it as much. Basically, this mod was our Amoongus check as well. That's why it's got Terra Grass on it. Basically, we just wanted this thing to be able to sit in front of Amoongus, go Terra, Hyper Voice, and then, you know, if he was still on the board, then we could look at just clicking Psychic to always pick up the KO. And then I think just for the rest of this spread, I forget exactly what our defense was for. I think it was kind of just like trying to round it out and be general bulky. But the other thing too was our speed. Basically, the biggest issue I had with this team was actually other Farafrigs outspeeding me and imprisoning my Farafrig. So I definitely think you could argue a little more speed on this would be good. I believe this speed in particular just helps us outspeed. I think I went for the Garchomp matchup in Tailwind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But yeah, I got imprisoned at least once, so I would definitely say a bit more speed could be good.
And then I think too, the other thing you could argue as well is potentially like Dazzling Gleam just to imprison Flutter mains, but I think on this team we didn't really need it. I think the Psychic definitely pulled a lot more weight. And another thing too, Psychic is really good into is the Iron Hands. Like, we didn't really touch on that,
exactly.
I guess, either.
Or Annihilate.
Yeah, there's a lot of matchups where the stab Psychic is actually really good, especially if you get that +1. Like if you get a +1 Farigiraf, then yeah, it's like really good. Like it can
also
put out a
really
lot
good
of
into
damage.
Garg.
Yeah, that's another one too, Garganacle as well. That's why we, I think, yeah, at +1 we just always pick up Garg with this spread as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think Hyper Voice into Psychic just picks up. So yeah, like really, really good mon. It definitely came the least on my team just because its main job was either like one, to set up trick room for like our hands and our gastro, or like two, it was just there to like be the anti-trick room, right? You know, we could lead it with something like Iron Hands to like, you know, click fake out, set up trick room. If they had their own Farig, then obviously, you know, we would change it up a little bit. And, you know, normally I think in like the trick room mirrors, I would always go like something like Flutter main Farig, just because we obviously can't be faked out and we can threaten a lot of damage onto the Iron Hands.
Yeah, same. And I don't think I ever actually clicked Imprison, but it's nice to have that, especially in open team sheet, because it makes them think twice about clicking trick room to begin with.
Yeah. I actually did click Imprison once. It was in one of my earlier games yesterday. I think it was like round 2 or round 3, and it won me the game. My opponent tried to set up trick room in my face, and I think my Flutter main picked up the KO and whatever was next to it. Yeah, so that's right. They led the Annihilate, and I Terra Fairy Moon. I think I Terra Fairy Moonblasted it or Dazzling Gleamed it, and then clicked the Imprison, and it was game over from there. I had like a Flutter main that was like, I think 40% after a Shadow Claw, and then they had a Farig that actually couldn't click a single move, so it was pretty funny.
Right. Yeah, it's just nice having that extra flexibility. So into Tailwind, you could go Trick Room, or, you know, to be able to stop it if you need to.
Yeah. But I think that's basically it. Like we've been going over it for a while. Is there any last thoughts you want to say about the team, or?
I think that's about it. We both have videos covering our run, so you kind of see how we play the team and what it does.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that'll be it for us, guys. Obviously, you know the drill: like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, I guess we'll catch you in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Peace.